Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank it with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Let's go.
Alright, let me pull my stuff up. Alright, so I guess first things first, I want you to go ahead and get the people your name. Let them know who I'm talking to.
Talking to Brian GLAZE Gibbs.
Alright, so for everybody that know, talking to the infamous Brian GLAZE Gibbs, we're going to talk to him a little bit about an audio book that he's written entitled Straight from the Streets Volume 1. So, for the audience members that don't know you, GLAZE, tell them a little bit about where you was born and where you from.
I was born in this little small country you probably never heard of, Brooklyn, New York. Bedford-Stuyvesant, East New York.
Okay. For everybody, that's Brooklyn. Now, a little bit kind of off subject, what do you remember, just in a few words, what do you remember about growing up in Brooklyn, your early years?
You know what? Growing up in Brooklyn was slightly different because what I love about it, when you grow up in a metropolitan area, it's like the melting pot. People is people. You grow up with every nationality. So, like you say, you just blend. You just grow up, have fun, play stickball, skelly, play with the water, the Johnny Pump getting wet. No, you just remember so much, man. Like, Coney Island was a big thrill, like to go to, like, on Easter. 42nd Street, that's where they had all the damn movies at. Those are little things that you remember. And, like, people was people, man. It was like the good old days.
Okay. And that's the same thing that I remember. Now, and Straight from the Streets, in the early chapters, you vividly and extensively talked about the move your family had from Bedford-Stuyvesant to Cypress, and you also talked about the pink houses in Linden Plaza. Now, how much time did you spend in that area?
Shit, man, like from 75 until 88. 75 to 88.
So,
we moved from Bedford-Stuyvesant, and then from Bedford-Stuyvesant we went to Cypress. From Cypress, that's when I first met Tut, Domino, you name it. Like, everybody was there at that present time.
Now it's good. I was going to get into Tut. I want to talk a little bit about. All right, so tell the audience about your early experiences when you first met Walter King Tut Johnson. Or someone.
When I first met Tut, we was actually lived in the same building, 455 Fountain Avenue. Me and my family live on the 6th floor. Him and his family live on the 2nd floor. And it's kind of crazy because, you in the building, 7 floors, 7 apartments. So that's 49 different family living in one building. So I used to see him when I first moved there. But, I guess I had my ego. He had his ego. We didn't even talk to each other.
And that's just how it is in New York. Pretty much you mind your own business and until something else made your business. So the pretty much the friendship started and it formed from there.
The friendship started. It's like it wasn't really a friendship. It's like we got into an incident, more or less at school. Like I was coming into the auditorium to wait for the bus and he was leaving out. And we got into a confrontation. And even with that story right there, is right there, and straight from the street and beyond lucky, the Brian GLAZE Gibbs story.
Okay, yeah, and I was fortunate enough to check out both, and I definitely recommend everybody go listen and read, because it's a must listen and a must read. It's going to captivate you from beginning to end. Now, in the book, we're going to talk a few more about some characters from the street, but in the book, you talked about a move from going to high school in South Carolina when you left New York for a little bit. Uh, Tell the audience about, I guess, what led to that and what was it like, the adjustment coming from fast-paced New York going down to South Carolina.
You know what the difference is? Education. When you look at education, South Carolina school system versus New York school system is totally different. New York school system, you can basically get away with damn near everything. South Carolina school system was totally different. You know, even with that, like, you see it. Like, you know, I even remember, like, I wanted to go down there, and it started because every summer, like, we used to leave, like, the Bedford-Stuyvesant section when we was kids. Like I told you, that's when I met, 50 Cent, the original 50 Cent, and a lot of Dustin, like, growing up in Bed-Stuy. But every summer, we used to go to South Carolina for the summertime, then come back up to Brooklyn when it would start school in September. And down there, like, they go to school early. So when we was kids, and I'm listening and watching all my cousins get up early in the morning, getting on the school bus, going to school, it's like, for some reason, I wanted that experience. I wanted to be a part of that. And eventually, I said, you know what? I want to go down to South Carolina. I want to go to South Carolina and go to school. And that's what I did.
Okay. All right. And if y'all get the book, y'all check out the audio book. Y'all will hear about what brought him from South Carolina back to New York to embark on his epic career on the streets. Now, you did attend high school. You went to pretty much a popular high school in the streets. Tell the audience a little bit about where you went to high school and some of the characters that you went to high school with, or the type of people that was in your high school.
Man, you know what? Like, when I left South Carolina, came back to New York, went to high school, I went to Franklin K. Lane.
Not to cut you off. For the audience, that's going to be the same high school that John Gotti attended.
Yeah, Lane. No, John Gotti attended, I think, Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, he didn't go to Lane.
Jefferson. I went to several like high school. Franklin K. Lane. I got kicked out of there for slapping and robbing somebody, a white cat. Then I went to George W. Wingate. I got kicked out of there for stealing this teacher was bragging about this calculator that he had and all the shit the calculator can do. And I was enthused and amazed by the shit. Mm-hmm. So here it is. I stole the shit, and somebody told on me, and they kicked me out of there. They kicked me out of Wingate. I went from Wingate to Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, I was the first one that actually, back in my time, brought in a gun at Thomas Jefferson. I got kicked out of Thomas Jefferson, went to high school redirection. It's like that's when I started running into, like you say, you name it, like, Ken Do, D Nice, everybody, all the street cats. Like, even before we became anybody, everybody started, from the girls to the guys. Everybody was hustling, boosting, pickpocketing, stick up. That was even before drugs was even drugs. People never was even thinking about getting into the drug game during that period of time.
Now, you did bring up a guy that a lot of people might be familiar with, named Ken Do. Tell us a little bit about how you knew Ken Do, and I guess where he was from, for the people that don't know him.
I met Ken Do at high school Redi. Basically, I met him through Ross' son. Ross' son was always the cool guy. Like I say right now, whereas everybody had a little clique. You go to school, you see these guys. Everybody used to hang out at this restaurant called Trudy. You can tell who made money, because the crew that made money, you see them at the table, with a big, large pitcher of orange juice, and I'm talking about the big meal breakfast. You talking about bacon, ham, but most of us didn't even eat pork then. Eggs, grits, oatmeal, toast, you name it.
Wow.
And it was everybody from, those guys was original from Crown Heights. We are from East New York. Then you had the Best Dive guys. Then you had the Bushwick guys. You had everybody from all over, guys and girls. Everybody was all over that was hustling, went to Reed-Eye at that present time. And that was like I'm talking about like, you talking about 78, 79, 80, 81, up in that time frame.
Okay. So that was the beginning of the streets, and like you said, that was before anybody was thinking about drugs. Everybody had specific hustles that they were doing. Sounds like at that time.
Exactly. Everything was robbery, burglary, selling fake jewelry. You name it, everybody got into it.
Okay. So now I guess that pretty much leads up to some of the I guess the questions I'm going to get into now is going to be detailing. I guess I'm going to talk about an incident that brings up a person that you kind of spoke on previously, Kelvin 50 Cent Martin, and another guy that a lot of people might know by the name of Demencio Benson. Now, yeah, in the book, you talked about a night at the Empire Skating Rink where you was not there, and a fight occurred between the two of them. Give a slight glimpse. I think some people might be familiar with how you met 50 Cent, but speak on that and speak on actually how you met Demencio also, or how do you know Demencio?
Like I said, I met 50 Cent on Halsey Street. You know, Halsey between Patchen and Ralph in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section. Shit, me and 50 Cent go back to, like, I don't know, I was like 6 or 7, and he was like 1 year younger than me. Like, his cousin, Pop, Michelle, Cannon, they lived on that block. And basically right now, where it's like we used to play, run up and down the block and do a little bit shit that all kids did back then. And, you know, it's like crazy. Once you build that bond, it's like you never lose that bond. Even after I left Bedford-Stuyvesant, you know, as time went on, you run back into these guys. Once you know, your friends are like family, y'all still remain that way. And I can remember when he came through Rikers Island, and, you know, I'm talking about everybody wanted to get him, because I'm talking about we in C-74. I'm 17, he's 16, and these cats over there, like, you know, 20, 21, they want to get his ass, because 50 always was one devious and individual, and he was wicked with his mouth. Like to say slick and foul shit. And you know what? Some people, they wasn't going for it. And to me, it's not like I was that much bigger than 50 Cent. It's the fact that I had clout through other guys. So to me, later for that, if somebody trying to get him, I was going to get them. And you know what? My crew had my back. And like you say with Demencio, I met Demencio, I think we was like probably like 14, 15, over there by Weeksville near Albany Project. You know, Demencio was always a cool guy, pretty boy, and we just was cool. So it was a situation in 84. I just came home after doing 3.5 years, and I ran into 50. I just got home, and he's telling me, yo, come on, GLAZE, man. Meet me down there. Come down there to the skating rink, Empire. Everybody used to always hang out on the Empire. I forgot what night it was. I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And to me, I didn't go that night. And I always wished that I would have went, because to me, him and Demencio got into it, and they went at it. And to me, my relationship with 50, my relationship with Demencio, I knew I had the clout to squash that shit right then and there. Especially right now, if you want to squash it, and at that present time, we all had a good relationship, I would have squashed that shit. That shit would never happen.
Okay, yeah, and that's the infamous night. If anybody's seen the 50 Cent documentary, well, they said 50 Cent and Demencio got into a scuffle, and I think they said 50 Cent might have cut Demencio.
Yeah, he cut him with a razor blade.
Mm-hmm. Now, being that we're talking about characters, another guy that I want to talk to, a person that you mentioned in the audio book, Straight from the Streets, Volume 1, y'all go check it out, is going to be Lou Hobbs. How did you and Lou Hobbs end up crossing paths?
You know, Lou was from Albany. He used to hang out with One Arm Monk. And basically, my man, Domino, Curtis Gibbs, he had family in Albany Projects, so we used to go through there then. And then a lot of time I used to see Lou down on 4750th Street. You know, when you take all your hot and stolen jewelry down there, he used to be part of the crew. They used to fence it for you. So, you know, always a cool guy when we used to always meet and greet.
Okay. Okay. Now, I guess kind of oh, we can't forget to mention one of the most well-known street guys from New York. You also mentioned Pappy Mason in the book. Do you remember the last time you spoke with Pappy Mason and what that conversation was like?
You know what? The last time I spoke to Pat, I like to say like 2005, 2006. Is a guy named Delroy, not Uzi Edward Delroy, another Delroy. Got my number to Pat, and Pat called me. And the last time I talked to Pat was like October 1st. And when he called me, and the number, you know, they came through, you know, more as a call from, you know, BOP, Bureau of Prison, Howard Mason. So even when I answered the phone, it's like we never stopped talking because this motherfucker started going Bebo, 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 Bebo. So when you sit back and think about it, that have always been his handle. And to me, it was like we never stopped talking. It's like, you know, we picked up from the last time I actually sat and talked with Pap or whatever. You know, we had a long conversation or whatever until that phone cut off. You know, at that present time, I had stopped what I was doing because his birthday had just passed. People don't know that him and Tut's birthday are both September 8th. So I had, you know, it was October 1st. So I told him, I said, look, I know your birthday just passed. So I just went and sent them, like, you know what I'm saying, through the inmate account, $100, you know what I'm saying, period. Uh-huh. But that was the last time I talked to him. Ever since then, I'm hearing a different story. I reached out to him a couple of times, and I'm hearing that he's back on the medication, that he's going through or having, like, mental issues.
Yeah, I don't know nothing, but from what I heard they had him like on a real lockdown regimen or something like that. But a lot of stuff is he say, she say. I hope he in good graces. To be
honest. God, man. He's, you know, like I told you right now, one thing about Pat, man, Pat was the real deal, man. You know, just so happened right now where it's like we all made mistakes. I think right now you can go back and change the hand of time. I think he would have done a lot of things differently, man. Just like I said, I don't have nothing bad to say about Pat. Pat was the real deal, man. If Pat love you, he love you. If you was any man, Pat, wrap up. Like I say, because you in for a fucking wild ride. And he vicious, man. Whatever they do is all about destroy and destruct with him.
Yeah, it seemed like from what I heard in the book, I had a real tight relationship, and yeah, that's what I took from that. Now I'm just gonna give a date to you, and you tell me what comes to mind when I give you this date. Monday, June 22nd, 1987.
Monday, June 22nd, 1987 is the day they came back with a not guilty verdict for me for murder, attempt murder, kidnapping, weapon charge. Like I said right now, I got a new lease on life. I was guilty. Murder was the case that they gave me. But like I said, I went to trial with the late Murray Cutler, who was my lawyer. His son used to represent John Gotti, Bruce Cutler. Uh-huh. And like I said right now, where it's like, you know, it was a very emotional day, man. Like, you know, your life is on the line. And when the jurors stand up and they announce their verdict, not guilty, man, it was like, wow. It was like unbelievable, man. Like a natural high.
How long was that trial?
The trial was only like about I don't know, like I say, about a week or so or less. But just like you said right now, all the shit that transpired during that trial, it seemed like it was forever.
And you was being held for how long?
13 months and 17 days. I turned myself in May 5th, 1986, and I got acquitted June 22nd, 1987.
Now, for the people listening, how many times, like I guess if you count times, were you arrested, and how much times of your life did you end up spending behind bars?
I can't tell you how many times I was arrested, man, because I've been arrested numerous of times, in and out all my life since I was like, 15, 16 years old. But I spent a total of like 14 and a half years, in and out of jail, from prison, Rikers Island, county jail. Yeah, 14 and a half years. And you know what? Even with that shit, man, like, people don't understand, man. Like, life is precious, man. And I took a lot of shit for granted. It took the death of my own mother when I was incarcerated that made me realize the pain and the suffering that inflict upon the victim and the victim family. And with that type of pain, bro, you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. So even through my transformation, even through the times in and out of jail, like I say, it didn't hit home until the death of my very own mother that helped me realize, like, man, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you allow yourself to get caught up into something that, guess what, wasn't really you. You want to be down. You want to be cool. It's like, to me, even today, my message is for these kids or anybody that's at risk to stop playing Grand Theft Auto with their fucking life. Stop picking up the brick thrown at the prison wall for absolutely nothing. Honestly, crime don't pay, man. It's easy to do, it's easy to do the wrong thing. It's hard to get up and clock each and every day, working for a living. The working man, the working woman, those are my heroes, man.
Yeah. No, I understand totally. I definitely understand totally. And if somebody don't listen to these stories and take that out of it, they definitely might want to listen to the stories again. Now, I guess I don't want to hold you too long, but I'm gonna just mention a few names that some of the audience might know, and that you slightly kind of spoke on the book. Um, First is going to be Puerto Rican Jesus. How did you come into contact with him?
Jesus, man, grew up in Cyprus. Like I said right now, and so we got a long history, man. So, like I say, yeah, we grew up in Cyprus together.
Okay. Supreme Magnetic and Rap.
Supreme Magnetic, Fort Greene. And basically right now, I met Supreme back in 79, 80. And you know what? Like, I met Preem. I never met Rap. But, like I say, they name spoke for itself, man. Like, those cats was the real deal, man. So, just like I say, nothing but respect for the brothers.
Yeah. Now, it's a person that you mentioned called Redbug. How about Redbug?
Redbug, he was back there. Good guy. Homicide. Darryl Bond, co-defendant. That's how I met them from Ocean Avenue. They good people, man. Like I said right now, we always gave each other, the utmost respect. So, to me, I never had no problem out of Bug or those guys. They cool.
Okay. So, those are pretty much some of the people that we talked about. And I want to say me and you talked on the phone a couple times, and I listened to the book several times. I want to say you spoke on an incident in Albee Square Mall in the book.
Yeah, I did. Albee Square Mall, man. Like,
Now, don't go into detail about what you spoke with in the book, but tell people a little bit about Albee Square Mall, for a person that never been there.
You know what? Albee Square Mall was one of those. It was like a little mall that was in Brooklyn that had a little bit of everything. You name it, was there. And it was mostly like the kids from Brooklyn. That's where we hung out at. And every neighborhood, any and everybody that was somebody was at the Albee Square Mall. And at any given day, any and everything can happen. And that's what people do not understand, man. It's like that mall, like, I don't care who you are, what you are. If you go through there, guess what? You might escape with nothing happened to you. But if you go there with a bunch of fucking jewelry on and you're not with the right people or you not that right individual, you're going to be had. sometimes you hear a story about people talking about Aubrey Square Mall, or people used to get permission to rob certain people. Nah, it ain't happen like that. The bottom line is, guess what? You come through there and you ain't right, guess what? They gonna get your ass. I don't give a fuck who you are.
And that's something I can vouch for that. Now, another Brooklyn mainstay that we never talked about, but I know it's been around forever. I want to see if you have had any experiences there. Betsy Head Pool.
You know what? No, not really. That's like right now in Brownsville. Everybody went swimming there or whatever. Nah, I never, like to my recollection, probably somebody dragged me there as a kid, and I didn't know no better. But not in my teenage or when I'm in control. I don't have no memories of Betsy Hayes Pool.
Now, I do know you talked about, I did hear you talk about the Red Parrot nightclub, and you talked about the zoo, and you talked about the Roxy. What are some of the places that, besides those, that you can remember just off your head that y'all did frequent back then? I'm sure it was so many.
But the Apollo, Disco Fever, SNS, Willie Burger, you name it, man. Let me see. What was that skating rink? Lacey. It was just so many to remember, man.
Wow. And that's all over. And yeah, just speaking to him and y'all go and listen to the book. Y'all gonna hear just like his exploits through many different boroughs. You talked a little bit about your your move from from South, like LeBron's move from South Beach, when you made your jump to the other borough that you put in work in Queens. Um, Tell us a little bit about, I guess, what led to that decision. I know you spoke about it in the book, but I'm sure you could have stayed in Brooklyn. And we talked about you. It's like I couldn't name a place in Brooklyn where you didn't know a neighborhood or you didn't know something about that neighborhood in Brooklyn. What led you to go to Queens? Was it just a money-based decision?
You know what? I was like a LeBron James in '87 when I got acquitted. I could have went and got down with Pappy. He wanted me to get down with him. Baby Sam Yebison, they wanted me to get down with them. Several individuals. And to me, it's like, what would be best for me? I could still stay in Brooklyn, which I did. I stayed in Brooklyn and still went to Queens. And to me, at that time, Cat opened or gave me the key to his whole organization. Like he was, basically right now is the CEO and the COO, and he just let me be the CFO. So when you sit back and think about it, and somebody gave you the key to the largest organization on the East Coast board at the time, what do? So to me, it was a hell of an opportunity. So, like I say, as LeBron James say, I'm taking my talent to South Beach. Guess what? I was taking my talent to South Jamaica, Queens.
I understand that. Now, for anybody that lived under a rock for whatever the last 30 years or whatever, Fat Cat was just only the biggest thing in Queens at that time. Now, how did you meet Cat? We talked a little bit about Pappy Mason, but we didn't talk about how did you end up meeting Cat, or was that just somebody you knew through mutual associates?
Yeah, met Cat, like saying, when I was fighting the body in '86 to '87, and when I met him, basically on the strength of Pap, and we just built a bond, built a relationship, and it just went from there.
Okay. Now, this is just the first conversations of many that we gonna have, but I want to encourage everybody to go get that Straight from the Streets Volume 1 audiobook. You can get it on Amazon, listen to it through Audible. Anything you want to tell the people, GLAZE, that I didn't ask?
Only thing I want to tell the people, especially the younger generation that's out there, you know what? Listen, man, stop looking at these, rap videos, and you seeing these guys with the big house, the fancy cars, all the jewelry and the girls. That shit just a temporary high. That shit just make believe. You look at Power and you see Ghost and you see Tommy and you see Kanan and you see these guys in and out of jail or doing the shit that they doing. Guess what? When that hour's up and stars go off, these guys go back to their regular life. They don't go to a jail cell. They don't go to a graveyard. Don't get caught up into this make-believe shit. It's not reality, guys. Get out there, get your education. Besides that, get a trade. Go to the military. Guess what? 20 years from now, oppose you being in a fucking jail cell, facing the rest of your life. Guess what? You got a career. You got a pension. I spent over 14 and a half years in jail. Guess what? 5.5 more years, I could retire as a damn correction officer, with benefit. You know what? It is, I had to start all over again. So what I'm just trying to tell y'all at an early age, develop work ethic. Build your credit up. Live it. Do it right the first time. Crime doesn't pay. Get my book, Straight from the Street, Volume 1. You can get it on www.amazon.com, www.audible.com, or Apple iTunes. Or get the Brian GLAZE Gibbs story, Beyond Lucky. You can go to www.beyondlucky.biz, or you can go to www.amazon.com. And coming soon, Volume 2, Straight from the Street, Brian GLAZE Gibbs.
And I'm going to have a link at the bottom for all y'all to check that out. Y'all make sure y'all go hear some real stuff. It's your boy Pop. We're going to be back with some more. Yeah, I appreciate you